contract. We should
I
probably-
mean, I would buy it and cut it and hold it. Like,
Look at it. Which it's bad enough we make Jason come over and get the big ginormous air conditioner out of the window. Josh is like, can we just leave it? I'm like,
Well, that little house that we at Shadow Island in, so it had a window unit and it cooled that house perfect. Then we got new windows and the one unit wasn't fit anymore. So Danny cut a hole and mounted it in the wall. Just moving it over and up completely changed the front bedroom cool again.
it's awful, isn't it?
I like that idea.
I'm not a fan.
Should I move it up so we can all be a group? We can move up.
I probably won't buy it.
I might.
Jason just.
How are ya?
smells a little
Greasing all right.
I shall.
bit. I
I put a little spray on. I
don't
shall.
even do that. God, yes, fine. Don't smell
Okay,
too strong, my Tim.
It didn't
Put
wash
it in
my
the
hair.
bag.
I'll never do that.
So as soon as they get back, we will.
Put a new ham on.
Cause it's
Just makes a huge difference.
well, but my cute little closet's
I
out.
won't sweat in this one.
I'd say 6:57.
So that's all.
Very much.
About 3 minutes.
It's game time.
I know.
Like I am too.
Once you get over 55.
Oh,
Day and time.
Something
say
about,
about 30.
no, 50.
Keep it to
So
yourself.
30, it kinda, you take your foot off the brake. And then when you get 55, then you,
If people were to mark their dock with the address of their cabin, just the number, would there be any duplicates? There couldn't be?
Not to who owns what. I mean, unless somebody wanted to say, hey,
No, I mean, just the
neighbor owns
number.
this, and you should tax them for it.
I mean, just a number. Like I live in 108 for a second, but it's not really 108
Nope.
town.
Usually starts at, well, like over by the bait shop's a high number, but it's like 447 on the first cabin on one end, and it goes down to 5. Like it's a consecutive number starting on
And
the
there are
west
2
end.
5s.
5. There are 2 5s.
There's 5 Windemeyer and then there's 5
Rocky
Ledge.
Ledge.
this is 3 minutes too
Okay.
fast. They said.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a
it
weird
is.
deal over there. That's the only instance though, right, Gary? Okay.
Well, if there was a duplicate, we could do like 104A.
No, I mean, no, we can't readdress them, but that would be a very
Well, I'm
isolated
talking about the
incident.
dock.
Well, they could put 5W and 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's High Rocky Ledge is 1. Windemere's, I don't even know if they have a dock, do they? Maybe
Yes.
they do. So 1 to 1.
So, let me just hold it down. Sorry.
Let's realize, I got fancy phones too.
There you go.
I know. I should turn it off though, because I don't want it ringing. I went to a court thing and I thought I had it turned off and I didn't. I turned it up. So when Julie was called me, she was like, "Hey, Allie," and I was shh, shh. Trying to turn it off. She said, "Why did you shush me?"
There you go. Gavel.
Yeah, here.
This was in the house. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, because this is stuff. Because I gave it to him.
I don't know. 59.
No.
Please stand. Pledge of
Seven on
allegiance.
mine.
7.
Yeah, there you go. Seven on
made it all.
Michael. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, call to order and roll call. Tim.
Here.
Annie.
Here.
Brett. Justin.
Here.
Brad's gone.
Move to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion has been made to adopt the agenda. All in favor? Unanimous.
Move to approve the minutes for September 9th.
I'll second.
We have a motion to accept the minutes. All in favor? Okay. Everybody must have read their emails. Look at my appropriations. I'm happy with them.
Before you go counting your chickens, I don't even know what email you're talking about, so.
Oh, I read the agenda in the minutes, is what,
Did
that's
you
all
not
I'm
get it?
talking about.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know what she was talking, I thought maybe there was another one that she's
No.
No,
specifically requested something. I'm like, no.
No.
Yeah, I'm, go ahead.
I was laughing.
No.
I'll go ahead and move to approve addition to appropriation ordinance 1466.
I'll second it.
all right. Motion's been made. Tim,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
I didn't hear her.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. Brett
Rico said
Yes.
that thing if they can hear you.
and Justin.
Yes.
All I heard was,
Sorry.
That's okay. I should be used to that. I'm married. All right, public concerns and comments. Go ahead.
You mentioned to me about the trailers, campers.
Yeah, the ordinance.
What's going on with that?
The trailer and the campers?
Yeah, you mentioned.
Yeah, okay, now you're not
Working
talking
in
about, are you
city
talking
ordinance?
about the, RV campers, or are you
Yes.
talking about the trailers and the mobile
I'm
homes?
talking about
The ordinance that they passed last week?
did they pass it?
Was it that?
Yeah. Brett or Tim, could you answer that for her? She has a question. What's your question on it? She wants to know about the ordinance and why you need to ask, what do you
I
wanna
wanna
know about
know
it?
why, I didn't know you passed it, for one, and so I need to know where's your stance on that?
Have you read that ordinance?
I was gonna say, so we,
I thought you were still talking about it.
no, I could print it off for you. I don't think I have it with me. It was published in the paper as well, in the Signal, but it's just, I can't remember the stipulations of it. I think 30 days or something like that. That someone could live in there temporarily, but basically it can't be a permanent home for someone in town. But like I said, I can print that off for you, no problem.
So what you're saying is, being this is probably concerns me,
There's 3 trailers in there. There's 3 in there.
okay, so I'm 33% of it. So you're saying that I can't stay in an RV in someone's private yard? I'm asking you, for how many days? 30, 20, 90?
I think the ordinance is 30.
What's the
Stephanie here, if you wanna
reason
make a
for it?
copy of this.
What's the reason
got a copy.
why? Because what he's doing isn't permanent anyway. But it's just a temporary thing. And so I need to know, what's the reason for,
Yeah, I don't care the reason. I just wanna know how many days in a row I can stay in that RV without being,
how does it take away from anybody in this town? That's what I wanna know.
Are you connected to city utilities?
Yes, he is. He's connected to my garage, so he can, have air condition.
Oh, you're talking about electricity.
And his refrigerator in there.
City
Yeah,
utility.
that's not to the utilities, so you don't.
He pays it.
I think what's happened here is that we moved so fast on our ordinance that the people didn't have a chance to digest it and think about it. And
No, I don't think the mayor's correct on that at all.
what's
I
that?
think what the situation is we've received numerous complaints from other people worried about their property being depreciated because the neighborhood looks not as nice as it could be. There are areas where people can live in a camper and stay there for an indefinite period of time. Just like there's areas where people put trailer houses, trailer park or whatever.
so you're gonna come and make me move? Is that what you're gonna do?
I'm not gonna do that.
Well,
Alright,
I can take you all over this town and I can show you ugly. And
you can't even see my camper
Dilapidated
from where it is, so I don't know what
and
the whole big deal is.
trashy and
Neighbors.
there's so many,
Really? talking about the neighbors that live behind that never mowed their grass. It's 8 feet tall. They got plastic over the whole backside of their house. They're talking about the other house that's got the tires all around it that's full of mosquito water and all this, but you can't even see that camper of mine where it sits unless you actually look for it. So if I'm really offending somebody in this precious town, I'll be goddamn more than happy to leave. That's all I got to say. You can deal with it because this ain't gonna go well.
How do we handle complaints like that where you have a few people that complain and there's other people that might have a discussion on it and feel differently? We didn't have that discussion.
You don't. I mean, the governing body makes the decision, and the decision was made upon a reasoning from a health standpoint. That is why our ordinances are there, that you have to have utilities in a place that is being occupied. It's health issues, number one, vermin. Number two, I mean, when you blight a property because it's, subject to vermin, dilapidated health conditions, stuff like that.
Okay.
Blighted property.
His
Now,
RV has got utilities in it, and he has
it has
it emptied,
electricity.
and it gets emptied. Yeah, it's a camper type thing.
Where does it get emptied?
You'd have to ask them, but they've left already. They told me that they empty it once a month.
Okay, well, if they empty it at our RV dump site at Lake Levancy and they're not camping, they would owe us a fee for that. If they empty it anywhere else, it's a KDHE violation, period. And somebody would have to issue a
Well,
street
you
advisory.
shouldn't assume that they do something.
I'm not assuming
I don't think he
anything.
assumed anything. He said if on both statements.
Not
happens,
assuming
then-
anything. It's based off of that. Now, if someone wants to reside somewhere in a mobile, once again, this is how I read the code, how Todd presented it to you guys, once again, reside in a mobile dwelling, things need to be in place. If there's a reason for it, that could be something, there could be a variance allowed. If you had a certain amount of time, if you were gonna build a structure, do something like that, that's something where a variance could be allowed. You would state how you have in place, how you're gonna comply with state health standards, something like that. And move on from that. But if you are not hooked up to city utilities in 30 days, I believe, right, is what you said.
Yeah,
The
it's 30
ordinance says.
days.
So you had family coming into town, something like that, you needed some overflow, that's one thing, you can deal with that. But upon reaching that 30 days, if there's no end in sight, nothing's been brought up, that's where the ordinance steps in and says this can't be a permanent thing, because someone might want to make that a permanent thing. Now, if you're staying outside of someone's home and private property, and it's more than 30 days, I think the question that the city would ask is, why aren't you just staying at that property? Is how I read the ordinance and what you guys passed, or I assume you guys passed, so.
What I'm talking about is the fact that we did not have very much public input on it. Fact is, you brought it up, you said something, Todd, about getting an ordinance, looking at the ordinance at Auburn, and which you did, but then he brought it here, and there was what I got from the people that just left here was they came in and asked me what's going on. They heard about it the next day after that was already done. It would have been nice if we could have had some public discussion so that we could have brought them around to our concerns or your concerns.
There have been numerous meetings in a row, I would imagine,
I would say
where it's been
6
brought up.
weeks,
Indeed.
at least.
Yeah, and there was 2 times that we
Last
didn't
time
have
I
any
was here.
cameras, and if they don't read the paper and get the minutes, and there's a lot of people that don't read the paper, and they don't even watch the camera. And so that's where word of mouth, I don't know how people find out. They don't even know they're being affected until it's already done deal.
But if they came and talked to you, why didn't you
The
tell
next
them
day.
that after we passed it?
The next day, yeah, Virginia was in here.
So meeting after meeting after meeting, we discussed the idea that we're needing to do something about it, and they didn't find out until we actually did something about it. That's what you're saying.
Well, I was also, yeah, pretty
She
much.
said she didn't know that we passed it.
She was talking about, I was talking to her about the trailer houses and the mobile homes. And she said that, well, that's not us because we've got an RV. And I said, oh, they passed an ordinance on the RV last night.
I don't know, oftentimes, you know, an ordinance gets brought and sometimes we do sit and stir on it for a meeting, but
And it has to
it
get
doesn't-
published, and there
Well, I do know it
was a
brought up
question
at
for
one
public
meeting.
comment on
I
the
know.
ordinance, so.
doesn't mean,
It was brought up initially, and then Todd would have had to come back at the next meeting with something, and we would have had to put it in the paper for another 2 weeks, so that would have been another meeting, so that's a month and a half at the very least. And I'm pretty sure we talked about it for 2 months at least or longer before it ever
Well, and then
was.
maybe what we should have done is reach out to the people that were offending other people so that they could have came and.
I didn't even realize they had a camper in their yard. I had no idea.
Well, another scenario is, I know Brett's brought it up 2 or 3 times about people mowing their lawn and spraying the grass in the street. I brought it up in the last meeting. We're gonna pass an ordinance about that, I assume. Now, that's not gonna be a surprise. It's not something we're just gonna talk about one night and throw it to people. We've brought it up a few times in a meeting. That's how it works.
Unfortunately, you can't spoon feed everyone. Everyone is responsible for being aware of their probable situation.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but this is. Having had somebody live outside my in-laws' place. Of course, it was out in the country, and so that was that. But she didn't want to live in the house with the family. He doesn't want to live in the house with Gina. And so they brought that RV there. It's got what you need to camp out with. It's got a little kitchenette. It's got a bathroom. Even has a small shower, from what I understand. But, you know, and then I asked, well, when she was talking to me about it, I asked her, I said, well, what do you do about utilities? So, you know, toilet. And she said, he gets it emptied once a month. Now, I don't know what she meant by gets it emptied. If that means she goes somewhere, he goes somewhere, or somebody comes to empty it, I don't know. And so then I told her that she should come and talk to you guys.
Well, I don't think that we're the ones who set the guidelines for what a habitable structure are. I think somebody else set
What I was just gonna say, it's what you require the lake residents to have for any qualification for another structure, another dock, anything like that is a habitable structure. And they don't have to have gas, which is our utility, but that's not necessary. They have to have operating electricity, water, and sewer. They have to be paid.
just like any house in town. And if
House
they
in
don't,
town.
then
They
they
have a
have
well, that's fine. Water your garden off of it. Don't hook it up to the city. And you'll have a cross connection. If you want to try to go back and forth, then we will definitely shut you off and have KDHE involved. You have to have city water, city sewer.
We didn't
Yeah,
set that.
and electricity, which is not a city utility, but that is the definition of a habitable structure. A
I will say
long-term
there are
permanent
actually places to
habitable
live
structure.
long-term in an RV.
Now, if that
That are
person did
equipped
that
for RV.
in the country, chances are they were on a private well, a private septic system, and had electricity, which isn't a city utility anyway. So yes, that would be absolutely okay in the county if they had a way to
Doesn't
dispose of it.
Shawnee Lake have an RV set up? Because Eddie Longseed there while he was doing his
Yeah,
cancer
there's
treatment.
one.
yeah.
Long term,
Yeah, there's a long
there's
term
many
out
of them.
there. They're all over.
yeah.
I think no, Texaco, the one over there.
And those are all, and a lot of those are
Well,
serviced by a lagoon system, and they are permitted water and wastewater facilities that are permitted for that, and they charge accordingly.
We should be a
year-round
good
for that service.
conversation to have with people here that it affects. Did you have a comment?
I live at Lake Shawnee,
Yeah.
in one of the houses around there, and actually the rule is that they can have an RV there for 30 days, but after 30 days, they have to move it to a different lot. So they can still stay within the park, but they cannot stay in that spot for more than 30 days at a time. They can take it off for 2 days or more and bring it back to the same spot. They can continue to pay the whole time to make sure that spot's reserved for them, but they cannot have it there longer than 30 days.
Do you know by chance, is that a city of Topeka thing, or is that a county ordinance or something that they're working around by doing that, which is very smart. I mean, you gotta get up and move. Make sure that the mobile home or the RV is operational, you know, it's still
It's not
live.
annexed, is it?
Yeah, and there
I
are a
don't
couple of
know.
spots.
I didn't know if that was annexed. Is that part of the city or is that Shawnee County's?
No, the lake is part of the city.
That's what I thought, that it was within the city. And it could be either way.
But there are two places in Topeka that will allow an RV to come in and stay long-term. That they are both outside of city limits. And the thing I just want to mention
It's
on
really
that
nice
is
one,
that
actually.
if the house is only zoned for one
I'm
family,
sure it is.
if it's only zoned as a single family residence, and you allow a structure, another habitable structure to be there, like an RV or whatever, even if it's hooked up to utilities, then that plot of land is not zoned for multifamily. So that becomes an issue. And part of what because we deal with this in Topeka sometimes too, and part of what we look at is, what if all of a sudden 10 people said, you know, well, I want to have an RV park here and I'll plug it into my garage and we'll go empty the toilets once in a while with a holding tank, and I'm gonna rent it out now. And I'm gonna get rental income off of that. Well, nobody really wants that, you know, to have that happen. So, you know, when we put ordinances in place, or I'm from Fort Scott, when we were dealing with it there, we really looked at how is that lot zoned? Is it single family? Is it multifamily? That kind of thing. So sometimes that helps people understand it.
Very good point.
Thank you.
Okay,
I think we've had enough good explanations of why we did what we did, so I'm set to move on.
well, I was just gonna say that, thank you. Let's see, any other public concerns or comments? Yes,
I attended the Sunday rodeo in Eskridge, and I would like to say that they should take away the money the hard way deal that they did with the kids. I felt that was out of hand. And
are you talking about the bull thing?
yes,
Yeah, I didn't know they did
I
that.
don't know if you guys can do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here for a whole nother reason, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that because I felt like the kids that got in there, no training, no protection. The rodeo climbed through the gate. I got it on video. The rodeo climbed through the gate, was wearing Kevlar. He climbed the fence and got out of there. And that kid got rolled. And it was tough. So I don't know if you can tell me.
We would, that would have to be between the rodeo committee and the people that handle the animals. And I think there's been some discussion with a couple of the people from the rodeo committee that it was alarming, to say the least. So hopefully, I didn't know they did that myself.
It's the first time we got to do something. I'm sorry the kid got hurt, but it's the first time we've gotten to do something fun like that at the rodeo in years.
They sign a waiver. They sign a waiver to do it.
I
know.
Every
single
That's what I was told.
Once again, it's an independent organization that is self-insured. It has absolutely nothing to do with the city of Eskridge. So
Brutal to watch.
I think there should be, if you have any other comments.
It was fun until it got real.
Yeah.
The first night was better.
Yeah, first night.
All right.
Yeah, that was fun.
Is there any other comments concerning anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay, all right. Mr. Bone, do you have any reports? for us?
Department reports. No, I'm gonna keep it real short tonight. Everything that we've been working on, we're still working on. We're scheduled to, NPL should be in the end of this week to pothole, back truck our fiber lines we have to cross with our gas situation down at 56 and Road M. Planning on completing that between September 30th and October 1st, hopefully. Alexander's met with them again today about our intake project and our backflow of our permanganate to protect our raw water pipes coming in from the lake. Hopefully the end of next week, depending on how the gas thing goes. Everything's been ordered. We went back over it again today. We think we got a game plan. I've been in touch with Kramer's too about getting Josh out here either while we're doing it or shortly after to get the final drawing and everything to submit to KDHE for our new permit to make water once that is completed. Other than that, everything else is pretty much business as usual. Normal hiccups, normal day to day, but unless you have questions.
Any idea on power at the shelter houses?
No, not for sure. But no, we talked about it at the last. It's doable. There'll be some small conduit. We'll pull something off of one of the bigger disconnects, go to a smaller disconnect, I'd really like to meet you out there and look at that, look at the benches, just kind of measure some things, talk it over on site in person would be my preference.
Stephanie,
You guys have a financial report. I have had a couple people, one person actually filled out an application. We're wondering if we were gonna hire for the maintenance position. I told him I didn't know because it's kind of getting towards the end of the year and I don't know how
Part-time.
much a part-time maintenance person would have to do. So,
You mean like
but
Gary?
yes. So I had two people that was interested. If you wanna know anything more about that, I can email you or we can talk about it later. We are gonna have the rabies clinic for dogs and cats this Saturday, September 28th, from 10 to 11:30. So if you have a city dog that needs tags, you can come do that and then get rabies, and then she does distemper for both.
Where does that
dogs and
get
cats.
posted? Like, I haven't seen anything about that.
I
That's
do
actually really
flyers
cool.
around town. Normally I do it on the website, Facebook page, and then we run an
We
ad
have
in
a
the
Facebook
paper.
page for the city?
And then an ad in the paper
It's been
for
doing
tomorrow.
something.
She's trying to be on
Watch,
council.
don't you?
Like us
I
on
should
Facebook.
know these things. Yeah. How am I gonna get votes if I'm not on there?
I think you just spoke measures of what, never mind.
So that's all I have.
they do dogs and cats.
Yes.
Yes, they do. And it's good to bring the cats in a carrier.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
There's been times.
Oh,
No,
And the
not with dogs around.
oh, I follow you.
Yeah. Yeah, Brody, I brought my cat, he was in a carrier and he was alarmed anyway. And all the barking and stuff. All right, so, thank you. September 28th, rabies for cats and dogs. Okay. All right.
Can you post something also to the post office?
On their bulletin board.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be there.
Oh,
But,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I got it on
I'll
the
double
window.
check.
I got it on the window too.
I think I did it on the town already.
Do we post any of that out at the lake so that those residents know that
I
we're
don't,
That's
Or-
but I can, yeah, I can send it
If
to
they can come
Kay or
get the
something
rabies
and I
shot at
can,
least, right? They don't have to register with us.
I can put it on the bait shaft or something.
But
Have Kay
do
put
they
it on
have
the
to
bait shaft.
register their dog?
They wouldn't have to register their dog. but they
No.
Get a rabies shot.
Anyone is welcome to
Yeah.
get
Oh, really?
distemper and rabies shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only city residents have to get,
The doggy thing.
yeah, dog tags and $2. So.
Cindy has that email thing, so, yeah. Because the more the merrier. I want to keep them busy. Is Cindy gonna do that this year? That's good. All right, review of purchase requests and work orders.
I do have one. Let's see what you guys think about this. This is for a 72-inch grapple bucket. This is like a skeleton grapple bucket for brush, trees, limbs, that type of thing. We thought about
Has a big claw on top,
two of them actually, so it can be different.
like grab the
Yeah,
house and tear
like-
it down.
No, no.
Watch what you do.
No.
Isn't that what was used to tear down a house?
Very inefficiently, I would say, but
But very much more expensive.
Stop bringing out our parade money.
definitely pay that back. Anyway, this I am asking for. Since last August, we've had a ton of rain. The trees are huge. They're drooping. We haven't had a lot of complaints from bus drivers yet. Normally, that's what we do in the fall. Once we start trimming trees, we go for the bus routes first. Everything is huge. Everything's drooping. Everything's full of leaves right now. There's no way we would get them all this year, period. I'll guarantee you that right now. In the past, we've actually rented Bob Logan's. He's got a combo bucket, which is like a clamshell that you can kind of grab stuff off the street. When we have storm damage or minimal trimming, we have pallet forks. We try to roll up limbs, get them stacked the same way, and pick them up with pallet forks and drop them in the truck. Takes a lot of time. I was going to put this in front of you guys, see what you thought about it. We did try to use Bob's grapple bucket that he made last year, I believe. Yeah, last year, the year before. It's very overbuilt, very heavy, very sharp, not good for our streets. This has more of a bevel. Drew went and looked at one, more of a beveled tooth on the bottom. It's a skeleton bottom type of thing too. As far as like cleaning out brush, stuff like that at the lake, what we've done in the past, I think this would be good for, raking some of that stuff out and cleaning out the dirt a little bit. Stumps wise, I mean, there's still going to be stumps until they rot out. But for the price, for the quality that I would say this is built, I think it is a really good deal from them. I think it would be very beneficial to have. So yeah, $28.50 even from Schwank Tractor. Obviously the lake, it would be very handy, general, obviously with the streets. And I put in the sewer as far as our project goes and the way the lagoons go and all that. Ton of trees down there, and I don't know how much that we may be responsible or we may offer to do on that to offset a bid possibly on some cleaning down there. And then gas, we have a lot of right of way going down south, not that we are 100% responsible for it. But any of the transmission lines that go through private property, private easement, we have to be able to leak survey it. We have to be able to maintain those right of ways, and those are getting bad. So that's why I choose those 4 utilities. And even split on those 4 utilities would be $712.50 out of each fund.
General covers streets and alleys.
Yeah, I just put it as general. Yeah, same kitty there.
How much money do we have left to spend for the rest of the year in the general fund?
We still have transfers, but your operating checking is gonna have.
Your expense budget is 42.25% still, which you'll never get to that amount. We won't have that much. Operating checking right now is sitting at 12,808. There are still some transfers that could possibly be done out of water, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not ideal. The financial statement that she gave you, I believe 2 meetings ago, I don't think I was there prior to approving Bob's bid. It wasn't conducive with spending that $8,600 either, but that was spent and prioritized.
That lot looks amazing.
It
Yes,
does.
Has any of you seen the lot for that house that was torn down?
401
By,
Locust.
yeah, 401 Locust.
Awesome big mower.
No, I
It
haven't.
looks great.
It does.
Unfortunately, he even brought us in some black dirt to fill the hole, which will probably grow weeds like crazy. So. No, it is what it is, but I just wanted to feel you guys out and see what you were thinking. It's been talked about for several years since I've been here, but the way it's looking now, be very handy to have with what's going to be coming up in the next 2-3 years. With
I
our,
see this as a double-edged sword because what I'm thinking is you get a little bit bigger one and then you start tearing down some of the smaller houses.
want to buy us a track machine? Spend about another 30 grand.
I was gonna say, is that $2,000?
What's that, 5 more houses?
Yeah. I mean, we bought a $30,000 skid loader. If we want to get a $50,000 or a $70,000 skid loader with tracks, that would be something.
what?
In some buildings, apparently.
We still want to drop it on ourselves and be liable for that.
Okay, I'm over it.
Haul it off. I don't know how we're going to get to Zingdale with our 1991 Top Kit GMC dump truck to haul it off. I mean, I suppose we want to get a semi and an end dump. I mean, hey, Tim, we're game.
Yeah, I bet.
Please stop. Okay, maybe Santa Claus will bring us something Christmas. Somebody will bring the lottery, who knows?
I think we have to be good first.
You're right. Maybe next
There's
year.
that guideline.
I really do feel this is a tool that they need there if we want them to do the jobs that we want done around here. So,
Move to approve the bid from Schwank Tractor 2850.
I'll second.
we have a motion on the table. All in favor?
Thank you very
So is
much.
that like in
And when
general?
it comes to the smaller sticks and leaves and stuff like that, we do have a sweeper. Not that every leaf will be picked up, but that is an option too. That's been an issue in the past. It's been brought up about the small debris that was left behind when we were using our pallet forks. And
Bo's offering $5 a yard to pick up sticks, so.
right on.
Yeah, you wanna hire a 7-year-old, he's on it.
I did that at the Lake Firehouse one time and offered about 8 kids a nickel a piece for every pine cone they picked up.
He'd be rich
That
by
cost
the
me
end
a
of the night.
fortune.
No kidding. Adds up.
Yeah, it did. Well, be careful.
Fill a wheel real quick.
Yeah.
That was split like in general.
Yeah, right.
Like General Sewer Gas, but it's on the edge of the request. Thank you very much. That was it.
I move to approve the resignation of Jack Foster.
All in favor?
We have to vote for this other guy too.
Yeah, well, we gotta do it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Jason.
Yes.
I'd like to appoint Jason Eager for the position on the zoning board for the county.
Move to accept.
Nice.
Does anybody have any questions? I guess we should have had a little discussion before we do this, but it doesn't matter.
He's a terrible
All in
candidate.
favor?
Horrible.
All in favor, for approving him?
Abstain.
Oh, I had
We
to
need to stay out of
abstain.
this.
You have to,
Doesn't
but
he?
it would be
Oh.
ethical. I mean, I'm just saying, in my opinion, it would be ethical to.
I will abstain. I don't like you anyway.
So,
Works.
is that a vote?
We're glad he's sister.
Motion second.
All in
You're
favor?
good.
Does anybody have any questions of Jason though, while we're at it?
Monetary benefit.
Well, if
Yeah,
we're
no.
appointing him and doing him in, then then I feel like he should probably be coming and talking to us or just checking in or something.
I don't know that it needs to be micromanaged.
I can do that, it's fine.
Well, it
Like me
just-
to come in like the city council meeting after our monthly meeting there. So I can
Well,
just,
And I don't even think every month is necessary, like maybe, I mean, it's never happened, so like we didn't even know that you existed or that we were gonna have to be doing this, so maybe like
I knew
Just
you.
once a
Annually,
year.
last night you're still kicking.
like once
Right
a
on.
year,
Yeah.
twice a year,
I'll
something
let you know
like
I haven't
that.
died yet.
Yeah,
I'm still hanging out with all the old guys, we're good.
There you
Actually, anytime anything comes up for the city, we usually would get someone to show up, but nothing's shown up for the city for quite a while. Or for the lake, for them to report to us, so,
About as needed.
yeah. But as far as the county goes, they're very responsive to people that have property in the county.
Yep.
Me, him, and so, and that's, so the zoning board has, was quite an experience going up there, so I'm glad we have it. And I'm glad you're on it to represent us.
It works.
Okay,
Glad you made it.
yeah. What? You look like a rabbit, you got something to say?
Next subject.
I know, I just wanted to welcome them
She's
aboard.
Hello,
Right, next up
Who are
is
you?
Fall Festival.
I'm here to represent Fall Festival and ask for a donation to our cause. Our theme this year is Halloween Town. We're starting some new things with the help of Angel. And your guys' money in the past has gone to the parade and to Topeka Drumline. We appreciate your support. The last couple of years, you've given $750. The 4 years before that, it was $1,000.
I would like to raise that back up to $1,000. I don't know why it was ever reduced. It's for the community, it's for our residents. We show our appreciation for the fact they pay their bills and they support the businesses. Here lately, where we have had less and less businesses for them to approach for donations, I think the city needs to at least step up and keep even what we were doing before. And I really do, I appreciate the Fall Festival. I really do. I support it in every way.
I'll echo those sentiments, but I'm with, the caveat that we're talking about general fund and it being somewhat low for this time of year, so.
and it's under 10,000 now with the purchase of.
No, it didn't all come out of general.
We split it
Right.
only 7.
But it's getting close to 10 now.
$250 we're talking difference.
So you're saying 500?
No, I'm talking thousand.
It's only $250,
500 is what I'm giving.
Just went the other way.
Just making a point.
Yeah.
So is that.
Yeah, I agree, so I'll throw it out there. I will move to donate $1,000 from the general fund.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
Motion to, okay. Approve $1,000 from the general fund for the fall festival. All in favor? All those opposed?
I'm abstaining. Actually, no.
That's abstaining. Oh, he said
You're opposed, correct?
Right.
there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can she collect that like
Yeah, and
tomorrow? or something?
I don't know, in the past, I've just taken it to the bank for Karina. If you want me to do that, or
I
do you
will
want to
just
come
let
get it?
Karina know that.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. James and Angel Urton.
Okay, I just stand up, since I'm just right here.
You're loud enough.
Okay, I figured. So we have purchased another house here in Eskridge. With the new ordinance that was in place at the last meeting, it has caused a little bit of confusion for us. The house we have purchased is partially remodeled. We do need to finish it. In order to finish it, we've sold our house. Our plan was to stay in an RV on our lot, tied into sewer lines, tied into city systems, tied into Westar. It would be running the house and the camper. We need to know if this ordinance allows for any exceptions to what's written. Is there a way to get extensions? Is there a way for us to be able to do this? Because we have to be out of our house and the new house isn't quite ready. So
I think
we
that
were gonna stay.
I think that Mike kind of answered that in his explanation of why we did what we did. And one, he said you would need a reason, you have a reason, and that if we so wanted to, we could do a variance.
Right, and the reason that I brought that up, I know there was a house built down on 2nd Street years and years ago, that they allowed them to move a trailer in. And like a trailer home off to the side and live there while they were building the house and they moved the trailer out.
It's not an uncommon practice.
No,
with
but
the
that's
new
why I said
ordinance,
that.
We wanna make sure
once
we're
again.
not.
I mean, coming beforehand, I don't know what the process would be or what the exception would be, if there would be like a physical permit or something that maybe should be approved. That way it's set in stone by you guys rather than just.
We would prefer some sort of
Yeah,
written out
absolutely.
agreement, And because our goal is end of school year, be into the home, everything set. Or the house stays vacant, becomes a blighted property is pretty much where it is.
Well, I'm sure that if Todd had been here, he probably could have given us some guidance on
Change, that's
this.
kind of nice.
Right.
No kidding.
And so, why don't we just plan on having him give us a reason for a variance, or
2 weeks to table that, and maybe Stephanie could give him a
Well,
heads up.
I mean, I get needing to discuss. You guys have already talked about moving on things quickly. The problem is that the person needing into our house needs in relatively quickly, which means we need to get out relatively quickly. She's got personal situations with her children and things that she needs to be in a home quickly. That's our rush. This whole transaction was taking place literally like this week. And y'all passed the ordinance 2 weeks ago. So we're like, oh my God, what do we do now?
If our hands are not legally tied, I don't see any reason why we're not gonna approve it.
Okay,
I'm 1/4 of the council, but
right.
I would agree.
You have my own
Consensus.
Okay, so we're cool to move on, but come back in and get the paperwork squared and.
well, we can't say that because of my little lawyer speak there. If our hands aren't legally tied,
Right.
I
But you
was-
guys are
that's
allowed
a
to make
fact.
exceptions to ordinances and
I- oh,
amendments
yes.
and
We're
whatever
allowed to make
yourselves. Right?
variances.
And if we- if we
Variances.
could
Because you're
do this
talking
a
about a
case-by-case
timeline.
basis.
You're talking
Yeah,
about a
we-
timeline, something is gonna be
We have a
done.
timeline, we have plans, we have a contractor, like we've got all our I's dotted and T's crossed here so that we can come to you with a reasonable presentation.
And being hooked up to utilities and
Yes.
all of that.
And utilities for the camper and the house.
And the house.
And we've already made sure that everything is going to be off so many feet, within guidelines, within parameters, within the, like, we combed over it very well.
That's one thing too. I mean, that the house will not be occupied as well as, I mean, they're occupying the
One favor.
temporary as while they're working on the house. So,
Yes.
I mean, this is.
Another strong
that's
point is she
another
came
way
to us
look at it,
before.
not multifamily.
Well, I didn't want to move and then be like, you know. Yeah.
Good.
So we're cool at the moment.
How soon can you guys talk to Todd for her?
Thank you, Marcia.
Tomorrow, he's sick tonight, but
So
yeah.
can
Can
we
you
have an
email him though,
answer to
maybe,
him
or
by-
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
I'll
was
email
saying. We
him.
could have Stephanie
Okay.
give him a heads up and get,
He'll have something ready by next.
Awesome.
So
we have this consensus of the council right now. She could get the opinion from Todd and unofficially relay that to you guys if that's okay with the council. You know, it's all on the record here, how everybody's feelings are right now,
That's awesome.
but that's.
yeah, because they
sufficient.
need the answer from Todd as quickly as possible, it sounds, so.
I don't know that Todd has anything to do with it. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you know, it's the public officer brings cases before us.
Right.
So we just say, yeah, we're
Who is the?
good. We're not
We don't have.
prosecuting.
We don't have to. Okay. I'm like, who's bringing it in?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that's,
Then can invite them for coffee.
well, exactly. Our imaginary. Okay.
Right on. Okay, well, cool, thank you. That's
Vacant position.
great. Any questions before we head home?
Thanks for coming in beforehand.
Thank you.
Well, I have lots of
Sounds
questions
cool.
and I want to be
Feels good.
snoopy, but as a friend.
It's 15 minutes to bedtime, that's all.
There you go.
And I know you spend time trolling Facebook. Go home and look for the Eskridge page.
I will, thank you. I will. I'm not trolling.
Like, well,
But
that's
valued opinions that need to be put to the masses.
Eskridge Park. Are you on that one?
No, I don't
Right.
think
Angel.
you are.
Go Kipper.
We communicate.
I think he just got my
Right, and don't be splitting the vote, right? Don't be splitting the vote.
Like it's
House
on
divided.
Right?
Joe always said. that
Put
we
it right
should
behind
have
dollars.
Signs out there that runs just scrolling across, you know.
Oh, like a, yeah,
what are
video
those
board or whatever.
Video board, yeah, and it just scrolls in.
Tells
Thank
people
you,
that
guys.
We're
during
gonna
the-
go down and-
Run.
Yes, thank you.
Moving on, 415 East Flint Hills Drive got a permit. She is a lively character.
So drawing.
Okay, all right. Let's see. I'm gonna try to put that down.
So you guys have that in your.
It's item number 2 up there. Remove,
So they're wanting to
Something handwritten.
remove the pipe handrail
oh, hand.
and then demo the existing boathouse, which is wood. However, I believe in the future, is 415 for you guys? Okay,
Yeah, we're actually thinking about just, instead of demoing it, re-roofing it
oh, okay,
and maybe re-siding, I think there's a window maybe that could be replaced and just improving it. And
okay,
then you can see all the steps. They're concrete steps right now. With pipe handrail, but it's not all in there, so we're wanting to cover over the concrete steps with wood and full wood side handrails on both sides.
To make it safer.
so you're just basically wanting to fix it, everything up.
You know, aesthetically, it would look nicer too.
Much nicer. The road garage right now, the inside has been, it looks good and it's functional and it looks nice, but the outside of it, it has an older window, it has some peeling paint. It's got kind of the original yucky metal roof. And so the goal is just to go in and basically replace the metal roof that's there now with another metal roof that would match the house. And then to just make it more secure and more sound and definitely a much more attractive site. Not necessarily to go in and build up, build out, do all that. That's not the goal.
You can't get any pictures of this stairs.
So basically, it sounds like they're just repairing a lot of things and covering up cement stairways. Okay,
And the new deck over the old concrete pad.
Well,
Yeah, that's questionable still.
well, we had looked at that again tonight before we came over here, and we had a contractor look at it to see should we remove the concrete that's there, or just and do new concrete, or just deck over it, and making sure we have the right location for support posts and all of that. So that's still a little bit in question. But when you go down the stairs, there is a landing, and then you go down more stairs to the dock. And so the goal is to go in and improve that, because it's all broken and it's kind of a safety hazard and whatnot. And then it's a place, there are pockets, underneath some of the concrete to where like a critter could be in there and whatnot. So the goal is to improve that and make that safer and more attractive and so on. And then on the railing, it's a pipe rail and there's no spindles to it. It's just one pipe rail going all the way down on one side. So the other side is open and there is a little bit of drop in areas. So the person who's purchasing it, Stephanie and her family, they have small grandchildren. And so the goal is to make it to where they can go up and down safely. And after looking at I called last week and Stephanie sent a copy of the ordinances and such to us. And after looking at that, we don't really know that she even needed a permit because she's just doing maintenance on the boat garage, but we would always rather ask permission and make sure we're doing it right. So that's why we did that.
Now the deck over it changes it a little bit. I mean, I don't know. As far as, it's not exactly like a board for board thing with the new deck, although, is the elevation changing significantly? It's probably just like a foot even off of that,
Yeah.
if even that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just enough to get it over
Is the boathouse
That
that's
makes
there
sense,
actually
yeah.
up on the shore? Like it's like what they used to pull something up into?
And that's a question I had because I didn't know if it was considered a dock or if it's considered, because it isn't movable. There is a concrete wall there for, the west side of it is a concrete wall. Where when I was looking at the definition of a dock, this isn't anything that could be moved. It's got a concrete wall for one side of it, and then it's got the piers in the water, the post in the water. So is that actually considered a dock, or is it considered more like a shed? But it is in the water.
it's kind of half and half.
Half and half.
Yeah,
Kind of is.
it's at the water's edge, but it's up on
Sure.
it's a structure. As far as monetary value at the city, as far as what they've been charging, the structures are structured, but as far as the ordinance goes, yes, that does make a difference.
Right.
Somewhat, in my opinion, how it's gone historically. The concrete area is at the water's edge, correct? And
Steve,
then
is
there
it
are,
concrete
in the
pad?
water?
yeah,
The concrete wall goes into the water, but there's not a concrete floor.
okay, the 16 by 16 deck over the bad concrete, that's something that would be added at the water's edge.
No, that would be added up the hill. That would be about 15 steps up the hill.
Okay.
There's 48 steps going down.
No, and I'm sorry, I should have got out there and looked at this and brought them pictures. That's not, I've been playing the lake officer on TV, while the other one learns her job. And I thought she was gonna go get pictures of this, and I apologize for that.
And I think we've heard stuff. I would like to table it because I would like to go look at it because I can't vote on anything without.
were you
looking at it.
planning on some action on it right away, or is this
It'll be 2 weeks till the
Yeah.
next meeting.
because it's dangerous, isn't it?
Right. And we're closing on a Wednesday. So the contractor that's why we brought it to this meeting. And Steve is the current owner, Stephanie is the buyer,
Steve,
and Steve Kyle.
okay.
And so-
All right. I'm just making sure I'm looking. I was trying to
We
look at
have
it
a
overhead.
picture.
I'm sorry.
From Congress.
Bobby, I know names better than,
Yeah.
you have pictures?
Not allowing it. We're not having
And not that will
I
make
don't
any
have it from the
difference.
water side going, so you can't really tell how far up this is. See where that picnic table is where we would put a deck over it, and it's about 10 or 15,
So
10
then
or
you got the shoreline, you got
15 steps off.
and then you got.
Not that'll make any difference for the council right now.
So that boathouse is kind of an extension of the dock.
And if they're gonna remove that,
So they might not.
No.
They're not going to.
Oh.
They're
We're
going
not
to
removing
redo
it.
it.
oh, demo existing?
We
No?
originally
No.
wanted
It's,
to send it, but
New deck.
looking at it further, we decided it's worth
They're gonna-
keeping.
As like a toy shed type of thing?
Kayaks and. things
Okay,
like that.
yeah, and that, we'll do that periodically.
And that's why we decided just to do a new roof on it and roof
Okay,
the window
that's-
and site.
sorry, I missed that part.
So that's changed from what we
Not
had.
gonna
I have
keep people
another
from.
picture that'll give you more. So where the picnic table is,
Mhm.
okay, this stairway that you're looking at going down, there's that. This gives you an idea of how it is from this angle here. So the boathouse is there. They're wanting to build basically a short deck in that fenced in area there. That's what it would be. So when you go down the stairs, it's just on your left. I don't know if you can zoom in on it, but-
I can
don't know.
understand about
Is it-
the,
Is it 16 by 16? Is it that big? It is? Okay.
I could understand about the railings because I have vertigo, and so if I had to go down something with one railing, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
So I
The
would,
concrete's not really
Yeah, the-
that.
My-
Some are
yeah.
broken off and there's
Yeah.
gaps,
we're talking safety here.
and we're not changing the elevation of anything, we're not expanding anything. It's strictly improving what's there.
I should say this, the concrete pad that they're talking about where the picnic table is slanted back towards the hill. So the runoff is getting pushed back and it's just not ideal. If you built a deck there and made it level, you get a lot more safety.
So, I guess the question would be is, are we allowing decks along the shoreline now? Or
Allowing what?
It's already there, isn't it?
It's already there, they're just
and
improving
are
what's
we
there.
trying to get away from concrete or not?
Well, they'd have to demo it.
Again, that's already there. I think they might cause more damage by removing it than leaving what's there.
Exactly.
They're gonna cover it
really
up
do.
with wood, so you don't see it.
The only thing that I'm seeing here is this application that you put in that you're asking us to approve says that you're demoing the boathouse. I know that you're telling me that you're not, but how can we approve something that says, so,
Just scratch it out and
That-
just
Well,
have
we
them
have
file
the
a new
original.
one. We could approve it contingent on them making that change.
I don't wanna
That's
hold up anything, but the only thing
re-roof or whatever.
that I would have added on to this if I would have got out there or asked for would be dimensions of the boathouse and the dock. Do you know the dimensions of the existing dock offhand?
It's been grandfathered in because it is larger
It
in
is an
footprint.
oversized dock, okay.
Yeah, and then adding the boat garage to it, probably the total width of it is probably dock and slip included, probably 24 wide, then you're adding another 12 on the boathouse, I'd guess.
The boathouse that is up on the shore.
Correct.
Okay, see, I'm not, and that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not considering that part of your dock, just the dock with the slip and the cover.
Correct.
Oh, on the water, out on the water.
The
That's all I was
oversized dock
asking.
is probably maybe 3 feet wider than the
Okay.
standard.
Okay, just that be known, but,
Yeah.
in this, we have another one going right now that has been tabled, which is a very similar scenario. So you guys are aware of that about, and an amendment to something that's there, and there was a question whether the stuff that was up on the shore would be part of the dock. Now, in the past, there have been people allowed to build, a toy shed is what I call it, up from the water's edge a little bit. It's not out on the water. There's no, landing going to it. It has not been considered a dock. It is another structure on city property that is subject to an annual fee for that to be on city property. but it hasn't been considered a dock in the past, and that was tabled the last meeting with the person here, and tabled meeting 4, I believe, because there wasn't any information on it. I'm just trying to keep everything out here
Right.
on an even keel. No, I'm not trying to hold you guys up at all.
The footprint of the docks,
Yep.
there's not space for anything else to go in
Right,
that area,
right.
so there's not really a way that there would be anybody that would come and argue and say, well, I wanted to put one there, or you can't add to it. It's basically, it's packed as tight as it can be in that location.
And I don't foresee that being an issue. The longer I'm here, the less I want things to be,
Right.
off. I like like it to be. It makes everything simpler for everyone. If at least the council that we have sitting at the current time maintains a historical. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like,
Precedent.
try to keep a
Continuity.
historical precedence on what's allowed and what's not allowed. So yeah, it ultimately is their decision. Sorry guys if I'm talking too much, but I wish I'd have got out there for you.
Even if the boathouse is considered part of the dock, I mean, it's still a board for board thing. I mean, they're not materially changing that. I don't see an issue with this at all. So.
That's where I am on it
That is the
also.
thing as well. Do it as a board for board, the way it's presented.
So.
Like it's safety and aesthetics. The only thing they're adding is that deck, and it already looks like there's something there anyway. So to me, that's improving.
Provided the deck sits right on the concrete and it's not, jacked up a year.
Well, yeah, that's why I asked that question. If it was like, I wouldn't think you'd be able to do that when you have existing stairs. That would become more.
Assuming the concrete's basically turning into wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the contractor that we had come out said that the last step, stepping down to that area, it would actually be flush with that last step. So, and I think we determined the steps were 7 inches. So it would be 7 inches above the concrete.
I was referring to the big 16 by 16 pad.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what
that's
I'm
it.
referring
That's
to,
what you said.
yes. Mhm.
Yeah, because if you don't raise that, because right now with the way that the patio sits, it, like Steve said, it's not level at all. And so it's just causing more erosion by the water. So it has to come up 7 inches or whatever to make it level to the end.
Is that sitting at the water's edge, that pad?
No,
No,
Okay.
it's off the lake,
It's-
about 5, well, probably 7 feet to the south of the lake, but then it's up 15 steps. So it's-
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it's like
Yeah,
a
so you-
landing.
Yeah, so you're not in any way extending the dock or the feel of the dock. It's
Yeah.
far enough
That's-
up.
That's the key word I was looking for.
And to be honest, I'd rather it not be there at all, but there's no way to get the equipment down there to demo and take up that much concrete. So they're actually gonna kind of hand demo it a little bit to get it to settle to the right way, so that it's not heaved and it's not sloping towards the,
They need to get the
shoreline.
void out.
yeah. And kind of fill in where there's voids underneath and make it safe. So they're gonna actually hand demo that with sledgehammers and jackhammers, and then take all of that and just put it back in, and then we'll just cover directly over that. So, like I said, I'd rather not do it because it's expensive.
It's
But,
not safe.
right, but we need to handle it some way.
Well, if this will be rewritten with the change of, instead of demoing the existing boathouse, just re-roofing or whatever, then after it's, I don't know how to word that, I guess. Contingent upon, I will move to approve that based on that.
Second.
We have a motion on the table to approve 415 East Front Hills Drive dock permit. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay.
May I ask you one more question? Across the street, when I got this from Stephanie, across the street is the property that we call 470 East Flint Hills Drive. When Steve bought it and brought it in, the property that's there, and we got sewer and water taken up to the property, so we could get a boat permit, or a dock permit. And all of that's fine, I understand all of that. But then in looking at the ordinances that were sent to me, it says ordinance 528 code 2016, upon transfer or sale of any property whereupon the owner has already paid a dock permit fee to reserve a location for a dock, it says that when the sale, or there's a date of sale or transfer, that dock permit shall be terminated. So does that mean that the buyer will then have to find a new location on the lake and apply for another permit, reserve a spot?
Is this a case where there has been a reservation made?
There's a reservation made and paid for, and every year we pay the $100 fee on it.
On which property?
Well, the one across the street is second tier.
470?
Yes,
There has been a reservation there.
there's a reservation, but there's no dock built.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
I don't see why we would actively try to like go out and purge those and like open it up. I mean, I would think we'd say, okay, well, let's.
If
It's already
there is a
reserved for you, so
location,
let's-
I mean, that location, I would say would need to be reapproved just to make sure that the distances are okay. This is something I think was a horrible idea for the city to do, is reservations, because that's gonna have to be kept somewhere. The location's gonna have to be kept somewhere, and with people changing, as long as everybody's kosher with it, like it's actually there, the distances are separate enough. I was always worried that would come. Is 470?
it's right across the street from 415. And the buyer doesn't even want it in the same location it's set up for. And she can go on and look at the, the map and see what's available, what falls within and all that. But, and then I assume she would just apply to have her, my thought was she'd apply to have it transferred to another location. Assuming that would go before you guys and you'd approve it or deny it or whatever. But with this saying that it gets automatically terminated upon the sale or transfer, then I guess she doesn't apply to transfer from one to another. She would just apply for a whole new reservation. Is that correct?
That sounds
I would
right.
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
would
if
go
she's-
ahead and build it
She's wanting to
on.
move anyway. It's kind of a moot point.
Across the street, you're saying around the corner and across the street, is this in Buffalo Spirit?
Yes.
Right next
Okay.
to Buffalo Spirits, the little one next
Oh,
to the shed.
gotcha. And that is, really?
Yep.
That is habitable now. Okay.
So, I guess I just want to make sure we're doing it correctly. She wouldn't have to actually transfer the location because it automatically gets terminated. She would just have to apply for a new spot.
That sounds exactly right.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that sounds exactly right.
Okay.
The authorization to have a dock, or I don't know the right terms, dock rights would remain with it. I'm not reapplying for dock rights.
No, because I have to sign a transfer.
The structure, then.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
I thought, who did that sell recently?
Actually, Steve owns it.
Yeah, I own both sides.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're both on the,
And that's not the one that you're selling.
Both of them are being sold.
I'm selling both sides, correct.
If you have a habitable structure, then you can apply for a dock. That's what she's asking.
Right.
And so that's
Well, we already
right.
have a dock assigned to it.
Right, we've got a dock assigned to it, but we just built it. So that's what she was wondering, if the dock rights transfer upon sale, even though the dock theoretically doesn't exist.
And that's why we had paid for sewer to be brought up to it and water to be brought up to it. And it obviously has electricity because we wanted to be able to get a dock.
I feel like the answer that you're looking for is the reserved spot that was intended. That becomes null and void.
Okay,
The new owner takes the new property. They are allowed a dock. They apply for a dock, they pick their spot, they get a dock.
That's exactly the answer.
That's how that
they were
goes.
looking for.
If they want the spot that was reserved, great. They want a different
Yeah.
spot, that's fine too.
As long as it, fits.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Great.
Okay.
That was easy, wasn't it?
Nothing easy.
They
out
always
there.
are.
We're at
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sherry.
Next, more for you.
Yeah, 407. I just forgot what it was. Oh, right in front of me. 407 Bud Lane dock transfer.
Be pretty easy, just a transfer.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Move to approve and seconded, all in favor? Yay, look at that. Street and see other continuing business, 345 Lakeshore Drive dock permit.
One from the last two meetings. This is
Did
one
anybody get out
approval.
there to look at that?
I have not.
I did prior to the first one, and then I wasn't at that first
I
meeting.
did too. So you know that little thing that's connected to the back of the dock?
Mhm.
Is that part of the dock?
That's what's being moved back, the way I understand it. Like, right now, I don't know what you would consider it, because it's like up on land in the docks down here. They want to move that back. was my
So that it
understanding.
doesn't appear to be
Oh,
connected
yeah.
to the dock.
Yes,
So
that was my
covered
understanding.
Deck existing
Yeah.
is what you were asking about.
That
Yes.
says to be removed,
Is that
the new
being paid
addition.
for right now?
I don't know, cause
It's
it's just an
oversized.
oversized dock.
It is oversized, so yeah, he's paying
Which they
for
wouldn't-
oversized.
Pay for just the pergola.
It's
They would pay.
connected?
Well,
I don't know.
even without, I do remember this part, even without that deck, even if that didn't exist, the dock is still oversized.
Right.
Right.
So he's paying the fee for that. Plus, if I remember correctly, he's also paying a fee for that deck that is there.
I wish that he was here because I had talked to him and I promised him that I would meet him out there. And then I couldn't meet him out. I got out there and he had already gone home on Sunday. But he had said something to me about just putting two pups on the other side and putting the pergola out over the dock.
Which he said that last time, that if this couldn't be approved, that he said, how about putting a pergola over the dock? You guys had asked, have we done that before? I looked up, we just passed it, 341 Lakeshore Drive, Frank Hummer. You guys gave him, you approved to put a cover over the dock, and it is oversized, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you have done that in the past.
And when
So
I went
just
out and looked at it,
recently.
what was explained to me was it was going to whether you consider that part of a dock now or not part of the dock, or if he's paying for a little sitting area or not, it was going to be moved back from the water's edge, rebuilt, and then they were under the understanding that that would qualify as another structure that they would pay $100 a year for on city property.
We
Like,
did the first thing, yeah.
yeah, the first thing. Not the
But then he had
Right.
said that he wanted to put the pergola over the dock now.
If he
If
can't
he
get
can't
this
If we didn't
approved.
approve him
The
moving the
original
deck.
plan.
Right.
Do we have his phone number? Because I am still thinking that he told me the opposite.
He didn't put it on here, no. I just know that that's what he said last meeting. I
In
haven't
the
talked to him
meeting.
since.
I know
So-
for certain what he said in the meeting. What
Yeah.
he said to you on a private phone call, I don't know.
No.
Now, the pergola, yay, nay, whether you want to allow an addition to a oversized dock is what it is. Hummers, there, he removed part of it and you allow them to put a cover over Hummers. It's an oversized dock. That's recent precedent. And the addition to a sitting area or whatever, honestly, I would be more inclined to approve the sitting area because it would be another $100.
That's what I'm thinking.
If you allow the pergola, you're still getting an oversized dock fee either way. Skinning cats here, but yeah.
I'm liking the idea of letting him build a deck, provided that it is backed off away from the dock, so that it
Not
doesn't appear,
attached.
well, even not just simply not attached, but a
Right.
visible, not an inch away, but, you know,
Separation,
yes,
visible
an
separation.
obvious.
And that was
separation.
my understanding. I think it's gonna have to be the way it is now, and the way the
The
shoreline.
skeleton of a shed,
Structure, yeah.
Thank you. Really?
Pretty things.
no walls, no
Yeah.
ceiling, just the skeleton.
They just have, yeah.
It was a
So it's
new word for
kinda
me,
shaped.
totally.
Oh,
I've
really?
never heard that word before.
It's like what's behind the lodge.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Well, it's pretty obvious.
It's like
We're gonna
another
approve it, so
little-
I'm gonna move to approve either or.
I
Over the dock or push back.
I will second that if he adds, provided that the deck is scooted, moved to whatever.
But a minimum. I don't think there is a minimum in our code. 5 feet. And the way that shoreline is, I mean, if you were out there, I mean, they have done
I understand.
everything with the rock and riprap, they're trying to hold it back. It's gonna have to be back a little ways. I mean, if it's not connected to the dock, it's gonna have to come back a little ways. There's no option for them to even get to it.
8 feet.
Huh?
I said, give them 8 feet.
No, okay.
Can I put those words in your mouth, Brett?
You just did, so sure.
What's the land?
Then I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion. I'm not gonna repeat all that. You've got that?
Yep,
All right.
I got it.
We have a motion on the table to approve those changes for 345 Lake Shore Drive. All in favor? Got it all. I should take short there. Prepaid gas agreement ordinance 573.
Yes, this is in your packet. Mike, you wanna talk about it?
Yeah, do you have Todd's feelings?
Oh, yeah.
Then I can go through this real quick. This is just the
I
ordinance.
emailed it to you guys.
The agreement is not in here. We do not have to execute the agreement. There's still an exhibit, whatever, that hasn't been put in there yet. Bonds aren't quite available right now. The foreign trade tariff issues are impeding that right now as far as good bond and tax exempt bonds being issued. They can't literally do it right now. It's going to depend on when. I mean, they hope that to be enacted by the first of the year, which it should be, maybe middle of fourth quarter this year. It's not going to change. That exhibit needs to be in there. What they need in place for us to participate, or they would like in place, is to go ahead and pass this ordinance, which still doesn't obligate us to sign the agreement. Todd's concerns were
Basically about the agreement.
yeah, on the agreement, there are a few things. He said the ordinance looks fine. Should be aware of a couple things. The term of the agreement is 30 years. It's not clear if it's not very clear in the agreement, and it seems to offer some exceptions, but they do not change the term in reality. Getting out of the contract would be difficult absent a complete collapse of the entire association, which there's going to be multiple municipalities in the same agreement. The amount of gas in Exhibit B, which we don't have in front of us at the moment, would be a minimum purchase. We opted for 20% of our yearly estimation right now, which I, in the long term, would like to go more aggressive on that for this. So we're definitely going to use that gas. We have to pay for that gas. We have to take the delivery for that 20% of our yearly estimation. That's not an issue. Whether we take it or not, we have to pay for it. We're going to take it. If there's a dispute on a bill, you have to dispute it within 90 days or it's waived. Okay. And if there's a contract dispute, the city is only entitled to monetary damages. It's not allowed to request a court to cancel the contract. And he said in severe cases, courts can deem the contract void or breach one side, can destroy the contract. It's not available as a remedy there. He goes, overall, these are not really legal issues so much as things to be aware of. I don't know that we have the leverage to demand any changes in any case on this agreement, which Todd's doing his Todd thing. You know, he reads things really, really.
Like a lawyer?
Yeah,
we pay him.
Yeah, that's why we pay him. Let us know. Once again, going back, and we'll reiterate this before we ever execute the agreement. I don't recommend doing that tonight. We'd like to look at it again. Our minimum right now, our minimum discount that they guarantee is 25 or 30 cents in an MBTU or an MCF off of this 20% of our projected usage. So they're guaranteeing us that we will buy that for 25 or 30 cents less minimum. Hopefully it's more, depending on how these bonds are issued and stuff, which doesn't make us any more money. It just affects our gas costs, and that's passed directly onto the customer. We don't get to make any more money off of it, which one municipality got very, very creative on how their ordinance was read, whether they had to pass off these savings to the customer.
KCC won't let us toy with that.
Because we are the only jurisdictional municipality in the state. That's cut and dry for us. Yes, that all has to go through KCC. We're right up there with the big boys as far as being jurisdictional and our
Like
rates.
the
are
one
set.
across the table from me.
Yeah, then which they get everything they ask for, so we might as well do a rate increase every 3 months.
I know for a fact they don't.
You guys
I
didn't
know
get
for a
one,
fact
did
they
you?
don't get over what I asked
Didn't
for.
you not get some a couple weeks ago?
I have no idea.
Oh,
Now they just word it different. But no, as far as the ordinance goes, if we are not entitled to anything. This ordinance will give the city and the mayor authorization to sign the agreement once the agreement is approved. Basically, this is showing good faith to KMGA that we are on board because this has taken a year longer than they anticipated it to. We'll give you a little backstory on this too.
That's
at some
right. In a
point, so.
nutshell, buying ahead will give our customers
Yes,
a discount.
because Justin and I thought it would be great to hold this and hedge it with the futures contract, our gas rates, but Todd says we cannot spend the city's money that way and hedge it with the futures contract. But yes, this gives us a way, and it's through Minnesota Municipal Gas Agency is who has started doing this. They're going to do that in coordination with Kansas Municipal Gas Agency, which is who we broker all of our gas through right now. They're responsible for it. And it's going to be bonds, tax exempt bonds issued by the Royal Bank of Canada. So if that all sounds legit and not a futures contract, that's great, but it's legal and it's tax exempt bonds. And it does provide an enormous amount of buying power to buy gas ahead of time. And that gas is secured by these bonds. And then we get delivery with a guaranteed discount of at least a quarter, if not 30 cents per unit.
We get a loan from somebody else.
They do.
Sort of.
Basically, we commit to 20%, which I've already reviewed those numbers, which we review yearly because KMGA wants us to say, hey, do you think we need more?
Well, and it's not something we don't budget
It
for
doesn't
already.
change. No, and it is. I mean, the way we have to buy gas, which this helps us because we won't have to. This is a prepay program, which they pay. We only have to pay for this gas when we receive it. Right now, we literally inject gas into storage, which is what we're doing right now. We're paying for gas that's being injected into storage, and we're holding somewhere for us to draw out this winter because it's cheaper right now. So we're not making any money off gas right now, but we're paying out money. And that's what screws up our budget every year and our cash flow every year because we literally are paying out 5 times more right now for gas than we're bringing in. So it makes things look way lopsided. And then we collect that in the next fiscal year. So it always screws us up year to year.
Airlines do it.
Financial injection instead of a physical injection.
Exactly.
Yes.
And this is just a commitment on paper. Royal Bank of Canada issues the bonds, brokers the deal, comes through Minnesota, MMGA to KMGA, and it all comes
Bank
down
of
to
America.
Right.
Hey, believe me, I hadn't lost nothing in Canada, so, but
I don't know. It's better than a futures contract because I mean you're usually paying a premium to buy ahead. Now you're
This is
getting
when
a
the
discount.
brains walk.
and it's a guaranteed discount. They hope to be more aggressive and get a better one, which they make more money off of that. If they can broker a better deal and pass it on, absolutely. It is a win-win for us at that point. We're not up against that where, oh crap, we had a warm winter. We committed to 90% for them and now we have to pay for it no matter what. I would never want to get that aggressive, but our usage is very consistent. We don't have a big peaker plant. We don't have a huge industry like Alma and Hormel. They have to come talk to Hormel monthly, basically, to say, hey, what are your projections? What's your load going to be? How they broker their gas coming in. And they use Constellation, I think, or somebody to get their gas. So they have to be in constant communication because they don't want to broker more than they're going to need. And they don't want to end up on the underside because then they're paying primo top market way more than it's worth to get that extra supply on the line. So. As far as ours goes with Southern Star, we pay for our capacity. We pay the max for our capacity. It's the way our contract reads. At times, like right now, we're paying more for transportation than we are for the actual gas off of the Southern Star pipeline. But transportation capacity is an issue for us. So we would never be, hit a huge surcharge for all this extra capacity, which is an issue. So. Sorry, there's your quick backstory in the middle of a meeting. But
So this kind of give us more control. I mean, I know you mentioned like going maybe more aggressive later, does that change the mix of, you know, I know right now KMGA has, you know, part futures, part spot, and part something else. I forget how they were doing it, but it was kind of a blended formula mixed on.
Yep, they contract. I mean, we've got our daily buy. They buy it daily on the, I mean, basically on the day market.
It's going for.
Yeah, our injection, which we're paying for now at a market price for injection, and they contract some. They contract it. Yeah. So basically, there'll be this, our prepay, and then the rest will be made up. The other 80% or 80, 75, is 20 or 25% we committed to will be made up of contract, injection, and daily market buys. So they try to mix it all up so it's as constant as it can be. So 1 month, you know, your per unit price is, you know, $6.50, and then the next month, if something gets screwed up, it might be $16.50. They avoid that by doing that. So
Okay. Yeah, if we see something really cheap, then we can get in and go more aggressive than we might otherwise.
on the prepay, yes, and we can't do that monthly. You know, that would have to be something that we would negotiate probably at some renewal point in the year. But now we can chat with Dixie about that sometime if we want to do that. But yeah, there are options. So to change our
Okay,
leverage.
thank you.
Yeah,
I need to do that about every other year.
I need to pass the ordinance. I mean, it's.
That's the fun stuff to talk about.
I know, I know.
Your definition of fun.
Okay, so now this is, we're gonna take a vote on the ordinance 573.
Yeah.
Tim.
There has to be a motion.
need a
Oh, I'm
motion
sorry,
first.
motion, yeah.
Nobody's-
yeah. Nobody's made a motion yet. I can't believe that.
think so.
I will move to approve this ordinance as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, Tim?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
Brett?
Oh, we did that?
Yes.
Yes.
Justin?
All ordinances are on that?
Yeah. Water conservation plan.
Okay, yeah, so basically this is just kind of last minute things for the grant. You guys have already passed your water conservation plan. However, when it went to the state, she just had a few comments and some things. She wanted like the water supply source, where it's located. I mean, it's pretty like trivial things. She said, delete this one line, remove a paragraph, update numbers, because it was from 2017 publication. It's just all very minimal things that need changed. So I didn't know if we could make another motion to approve based on the recommendations of the Kansas Water Office. And then I can send this over to Rosemary and we can continue getting that done.
Well, they probably know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know more about it than I do.
I mean,
You can
it's
argue
all
with them all
just-
you want.
Yeah.
I'll move to accept their plan.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
No. Okay, so major council concerns and comments. I just have one thing to tell you. On Prairie Wind, well, two things. On Prairie Wind, we're about caught up on our bill. We've been everybody's been paying their rent and everything, and so we're about caught up with paying back the city. Connie was telling me she's very excited. I think our last payment will be next month, and then we'll be all caught up.
And then, since you brought up the apartments, was there any information left on what Tim was asking about, the cleanup of the side of the building?
I was just getting ready to ask that.
Well, they were wondering if they could get a, either some sort of a tarp and cover that up. He doesn't know. Well, now I looked at it the other day and I don't mind the canoe being there. I think it's kind of colorful. But as far as the rest of the stuff, I think he should either get a little shed or get rid of it, put it in his van.
Well, are we going to allow those people in the apartments to have sheds?
No.
I don't think so.
And also the landscaping that was done around there, I checked with that, and Hazel, when she left, she took all the beautiful flowers and stuff that you put in there and gave them to her family. And so the landscaping that was done there actually was done by the people that lived there. And so I asked them, in contrast with how nice that looks with landscaping, they needed to move that stuff. So they'll either have to rent a shed if they can't, if they can, well, actually, I'm gonna ask them to put it in storage. And so if a unit comes open, then maybe they'll rent the storage. They've got the money for it. To the storage room down here. But also going on down there, we had to replace a water heater. And so we put a brand new water heater in there, and within a few days, something happened to it. We had the person that put it in look at it, and someone had gotten in there, picked the lock, gotten in there, and turned it up as high as it would go. So it blew off pressure valve or something. So we're going to put cameras in there now because we can afford to buy cameras. We can put cameras in there.
You haven't paid us off yet, but you can afford to buy cameras.
We got another month to pay. We've been paying you on a regular basis. Yeah, we're going to put cameras up because there's mischief that goes on down there. We need to do that. But I wasn't asking permission. I was just giving you an update. I was kind of happy with the fact that we paid back so much of that utility. So anyway.
That is good.
Do anybody want to adjourn?
Are the garage sales this weekend?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Cool. Then I think.
And
over what?
I was just going to say September 28th, Raby's Clinic. I was just repeating that again. And she was going to ask something.
I didn't know if we need to motion.
Well, no, I'm not going to do that now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, can I finish my thought?
Oh, yeah.
We have several properties like the one leading into town that look like crap. That lawn that we always have to tell people that it's actually too tall and they need to mow it. Next to the old gas station where people are squatting. Did you put anything on there?
No, but I talked to them today. They came in and I told them basically, she wanted to know, I can't even remember. Oh, she wanted to know of abandoned houses in town and property owners' names so they could go fix them up and live there. And I said, just so you know, you're squatting and you're not allowed to be living where you are now. And we will be giving you a notice and you have to vacate the premises. And then she went and got her husband. And he came up here and said, well, how long do we have? And I honestly don't know. I don't have a set thing. So I need to talk to Todd and say, okay, like what? Maybe we could just put any time frame on there.
Isn't it just kind of immediate?
I don't know. So I said as soon as possible because I didn't know.
Yeah, that was one of my.
And then he was arguing with me about
like
getting the water on, and I said, you have to do this, this, and that to get the water on. So
for a different property,
right?
And they still don't have utilities done at that.
No.
At that business. And the other thing is there's a lot of trash down there, and I drove by and I saw her walking around. I saw her actively bending over, picking up something with a handful of other stuff, went and dropped it in a barrel, and I had to go pick up my wife, and just 5 minutes later, I said, look at this, they're cleaning up that property. And I drove by, and there was more trash on the ground than there was when I saw her picking stuff up. I am not making that up. I wish I was.
I asked him what they were doing there. He said that Schaefer had hired them to clean up the back of that back area, and so I said, oh, okay. I don't know what to say to them.
I think that we need to send Schaefer a letter or something. I think it would be nice.
I thought that we already did.
Mow.
I did.
Because I had that.
And immediately afterwards.
He worked on, he did. And he worked on his house. I saw that.
I just wish that they would mow it or clean it up before we have people from all over the place coming into town for the garage sales. I mean, we can't clean up the town before this weekend, but we can at least
maybe
do
the
that.
landowner would give him a lawnmower to mow it with. That's reasonable. if he's hiring him to
Bill
clean up.
apparently went and mowed it last time, tell Bill to go do it again.
I don't speak to Bill so much.
Oh, you don't anymore? I didn't know
Oh, no.
I don't know. I mean, this is an ongoing thing. I mean, if you look down there, it's just as bad or worse
I
than it
know.
was the last time we were
I
down
know.
there.
So, is there any update on the mobile home double wide thing? Did
Yes.
he,
So I sent you guys an email, and then it was kind of a lot to put in the packet, so I didn't know if you guys wanted to look it over and talk about it at the next meeting since he's not here, or whatever you
that would
guys
be great if
wanted
you
to
could just
do.
make a copy for each one of us.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
got-
sorry, I
I've
emailed
got
them
the email,
both,
so.
okay, yeah. So that's for the grass that Justin has, and then that's for the mobile homes.
Okay.
And I'll just add them both to the.
I have the grass sounding good as it was.
I'll just continue moving on. Is there any update on the dead end sign for Angels
I've got it.
and Bob's?
Please put it up.
Okay.
The county does have the county has a zoning,
48 hours. Sound good?
Brett, the county has a, no, I totally lost my train of thought. I talked to Jack about trailers.
No.
And the only thing they require is that they have to be newer than 1978, 76? Okay.
On these trailers, is that what?
So the county, yeah, so the county has something that you can reference too, but Todd, I haven't seen what Todd said, so he might have already referenced it. It might
Okay.
already be in there. But that's something that Mr. Heeper could check in for us. Okay, thank you. And
Now you're
that-
saying that's out in the county?
Yes,
Well, I would expect stricter regulations in the city.
How does that work if we adopted their, do you just add another
Just add an ordinance on top of it.
ordinance on top of that?
see, I'm remembering 16 years ago or so that we had an ordinance about trailers. That, and you're saying no, you couldn't find it, right? It had to be HUD approved, it had to be 1976 or 78 as far as how old it was. And then it had to be tethered down and set on cement strips. And yet it's not in the ordinances, and I don't remember ever, I've been to a zillion meetings, I don't remember that being rescinded. So have you guys updated the ordinance that you know of in the last 6 years?
Not since I've been here.
I don't remember
but
anything.
I don't know.
Man, I wish I had that old ordinance book. But anyway,
I mean, I have them.
You can't build new
Preserves our
okay,
hills.
I'll see.
Yes,
In what
but
areas?
it also prevents you from building.
You can keep that too if you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
I shall.
Right, towns are dying,
Right.
so that
Yeah.
opens up the possibility for them
I
to
should make
grow.
copies of
Right.
that.
Are we done?
Okay. Yeah, I think we are.
Wait,
no,
I
you're-
had
he had
Another thing too is you were, the county, or let's see, the county road and bridge were supposed to meet with Mike about the Cook's ditch. Did that happen?
No, not yet. I've talked to Thane, but no, we haven't met about it.
We're back.
Is there any? I'm just curious how long they think that's gonna take.
Talk to Thane, he's offered help and advice, but you know, it just depends. It's gonna have to go through me. I mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, I could send Drew or Jim up something, but to report to you guys and, you know, make sure that they're happy, it's gonna have to go through me. And it's been a little hectic and it doesn't look like it's getting any better, but no. I know Terry mentioned Halloween and I would love to have something done by Halloween, so we're shooting for that.
The last thing that I had was, did Gunnar get those letters sent to the people that I asked you about to tell her to send the letters that had the excess amount of livestock,
Livestock.
or not livestock,
People over here
birds?
last week.
So they have gotten rid of them all, I think. She was in here. She got rid of the guineas and a lot of her other, I think all she has is hens now. Do you
She has
know?
6 hens left.
I think she got rid of all of them but 6 hens. So she came within compliance. And
Yay.
I also got an update from the neighbors that were complaining, and they said they haven't been a nuisance since, so they're keeping them contained.
Okay.
Did we ever figure out with semi parking?
Good
never
thing I
touched
brought
on
that
that
up
again.
because Dolly had mentioned something about this here and Jerry can clarify and clear that up for us, what he found out.
Yeah, you own the lot next to us is 25 feet, and then we own the next lot that's 25 feet. And
Thank you.
your building 25 feet wide, and our building over there is 50 feet wide, but we have 3 lots and you have 2 lots. So it's right down the middle where it separates.
Right down the middle of the gravel?
Right down the middle of halfway
Between the two
between the 2 buildings.
So there's not any room there for anybody to park.
I was thinking about that anyway. I mean, gravel with a semi truck is not real great with long term wear, right? Isn't that what we're talking about, the alleyway?
No.
Or am I
This
just
one
making
right
that
here, which
mistake?
Right
there's,
there.
it's not conducive to even get in there with the power poles and the guide wires. It's impossible.
I was
So that's
thinking-
null and void, period.
What about street parking in front of the old grade school and junior high buildings? Because you just have district office across the street. Obviously, we would talk to district and see if that's okay with them. But not a lot of traffic. I think that would be-
Basically, wherever they are parked, they might have to have, they will need the capability of putting cameras on their trucks. So, but that would be for them to deal with.
I think that's pretty wide open, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, that's
That's all they were talking to me, is that
not
the
our
one that,
concern.
they were just talking, there was only one trucker that had that problem anyway, so.
I don't know if they're waiting.
I'll move to adjourn if there's nothing else.
I'll second.
All in favor?
That's kind of the committee's goal is to push more people into town. They'll let
Stop
them-
parceling off farmland
Yeah.
and selling it for
Their-
outrageous prices or
Their
land prices.
huge
keep
thing
going
is
up?
to prevent many subdivisions. They don't want any of that shit.
Make it stop.
Yeah, no,
He
I
said
didn't
he
want
would.
to. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well, I know where,
No, a lot of times I
somebody
do.
asked people how much.
No, not right now.
Beat it dead horse.
You know where you
Jim and I.
Yeah.
Yeah,
come around the corner.
Yeah, it's still for
Where
sale.
Thomas's parents lived there.
He knew it happened and he
Up
was
there in that parcel right there.
Sorry.
Anyway.
On the left, yeah, that big it's like all overgrown.
Talking about
ditch
making it
ditches
right with
right now.
you,
And the cattle
the
rubbed on the side and knocked it
city,
over, and then they come back and stand up. And I see
It's still for sale from my, I just saw that the
So
other
we
day. I
have
was-
to stop that.
Did they-
Well, I mean, you can still sell the land, but if you want to buy, a little 3 acre or 5 acre plot and try to build a house on it,
Well, that's what it says